the AM, and I'm so excited. I had to wear it today. It just came in the mail today, and it made me so excited. Okay. 1:33. We're gonna get started, everyone. I think everyone who's here is here, or who's gonna attend is here, you know? Challenge accepted. Oh gosh, Saint. Thank you. I did. I just turned off alerts just now. So they'll still do the bit cup animation so you guys can see your stuff happening, but the large thing and the noise, all that won't be happening. 15 minutes of free song requests if I get emotional. Yes. I like it. Okay. Here's the way we're gonna do this today, dudes. If this is your first time attending one of these mental health awareness discussion streams, basically the way that I like to work these, it's kind of based on what I was just discussing with Alchemist Joker about my corporate life. It's kind of just based on the way that I'm used to handling training classes and anything instructional, informational, or discussion based. So I would like to go through my story, explain kind of, you know, what my background is, why I have such a strong interest in advocating for this, for mental health awareness, you know, trying to reduce stigmas and whatnot, and then get into some of the things that I've learned based on my experiences, and from there get into some tips. For this particular one, I did some more research beyond my own, you know, history, my own life experience. And I tried to come up with like an actionable list of things that we can try to work on for our mental health after this stream. Because these are going to be ongoing. One of my goals for this new year was to make sure that I have these at the very least monthly. So hopefully I'll be scheduling the next one within the next day or so, throw that on the calendar. And we'll try to keep in touch with each other, try and keep this as a nice welcoming community where we feel comfortable sharing with each other and reaching out, and you know, we can come back in a month and discuss the progress that we've made, or you know, any setbacks that we've had, and just, you know, kind of try to keep this like I've said before, it's almost like group therapy. I might not be the most qualified person for it, but I'm always open to feedback, and you know, like I said, this is kind of just all my opinions and what I've experienced in my life. And I'm just hoping that by sharing it, and by others in chat sharing their experiences, that, you know, hopefully we can all get somewhere from it. Alright? Make sense? In before 15 minutes of Chumbawamba. You think that's what's gonna happen if I get emotional now? Okay. God bless you. Here's the deal. So when I was a baby, I was about a year old, it was my brother, sister, and I. So my sister was 3 years older than me, my brother was a year older than I, and then there was me. So we were, you know, 3, 2, and 1, basically. My birth mom was going through a really rough time in her life, and what happened to this? Oh, it's just a long one. Great song for it, too. So my mom was my birth mom, she was going through a rough time in her life, and she was all mixed up with drugs and all the wrong type of people. I don't know if it was like a full-on clinical, or whatever you would consider the right word for that, addiction, but she was spending way too much time on cocaine, and it basically, it kind of ruined what she was doing with her life. So she had 3 kids, 2 different dads. Not that that really matters, I guess, but so we were really young, and she took us to our grandparents' house, and that is my biological grandma and basically my step grandpa. So she brought us to their house with under the impression that they were going to be babysitting us, and then she left and didn't come back. So when I was a baby, my brother, sister, and I were abandoned, and when you have somebody who has medical issues, which was my older sister, this is an especially hard thing to deal with, because our abandonment made it very hard for them to get my older sister the medical care that she needed. And my sister was born with a liver disease called biliary atresia. So she was constantly in and out of the hospitals. She had to have 3 liver transplants throughout the course of her life. It was just, you know, it's a lot. And as a baby, she was in the hospital, especially, like, a lot more. So my grandparents realized after my birth mom left and was not coming back, and made it evident that she was not coming back at least, my grandparents realized that they had to make a decision because they couldn't get her medical care if they weren't her legal guardians. So it came to a point where, you know, the state was basically involved, and it was a matter of them either surrendering us to the state or adopting us. And so my grandparents, you know, my biological grandmother and my step-grandpa, my grandparents had 7 kids between them. So my birth mom is from my biological grandma, and she had 2 siblings. And then my step-grandpa had 4 kids from previous marriages. So when they got married, they raised 7 kids together that were all getting ready to get out of high school, move on with their lives. They were newlyweds. A little bit later in life, they were ready to retire. And then they were presented with this situation of, okay, do we retire and let these kids go to the state and go into different foster cares? And like the state basically, like everyone who they talked to, all basically said the same thing. If they go out for adoption, they will not be adopted together. Like, this is the last that anyone's going to see of any of them. They're all going to get split up. There's no way that they'll stay together. And for my older sister especially, like, it was a really scary thought because of her medical issues. No one else in my family was really qualified to take on 3 young children, and my parents stepped up. So they fought hard to adopt us. They went to court and adopted us so that they could make sure that they got my sister the care that she needed and make sure that we didn't get split up, which is crazy. So they went from having 7 kids together to throwing 3 on top of that. I went from being the youngest of 3 to being the youngest of 10. And because of my adoption, it's kind of weird. I went from having all these aunts and uncles to having more brothers and sisters, right? Because my grandparents suddenly became my adoptive parents. So all my aunts and uncles became my brothers and sisters, and my biological birth mom is legally my sister. I know. It's weird. So, yeah, my parents, you'll find that I always refer to my biological grandma and my step-grandpa as my parents, my mom and dad, and my birth mom usually by her first name or just as my birth mom, because, you know, parenting and being the parent of is I think, very different. Anyways, that's not important. So my parents basically said they never intended to deceive us as kids. You know, they were never like, hey, we're your mom and dad now. But we were really young. We didn't really know what was going on. So apparently over time, according to what my great-grandma told me one time, we started off calling them Grandma, Mommy, and Grandpa, Daddy, and eventually the Grandma and Grandpa part just dropped off, and we started calling them Mommy and Daddy. So they were never like, hey, we're your parents, we're your mom and dad now. It was more just like we kind of naturally decided that they were our parents. And then they were like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. So they did. They kind of became our parents without realizing they were going to. Aside from, like, the legality of becoming them. Like, you know, they still planned on being Grandma and Grandpa. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily easy for them, especially with all of my sister's health issues and with my birth mom being gone. But yeah, they made it work. They worked really, really hard to raise us. And when I was about 7, I believe I was 7, they finally told us the truth about being adopted. And I remember that very much because it didn't mean anything to me. Like, it just did not matter. I was goofing off with all my older brothers and sisters. I was having a lot of fun. Like, I was the baby, so at times especially when I was really, really young, at times I could just, you know, wander around the room and just have so much fun playing with all my older brothers and sisters because they were big and silly. But they brought in a counselor and they sat us all down and they explained everything that happened, that our birth mom had been addicted to drugs and had hung out with the wrong crowds because she was associated with some gangs and some pretty bad people from the south side of Chicago, which is where we were living before they adopted us. And you know, the counselor kind of tried to walk us through it, see how our emotions were, see how we felt about this new revelation. And I remember my sister cried, and I was just like, okay, so you're not like our parents, whatever. It didn't really hit me. The whole like idea of abandonment like hadn't really sunk in. And my brother didn't really care either. He was kind of goofing off. So the counselor, one of the things I do remember, and I like to talk about this because it's like a random silly memory as a part of that. The counselor had us all write letters to our birth mom to essentially say like whatever we would say to her if we knew that she was going to hear it then or read those messages, right? So like I think I asked her if she had any pets and if she liked dogs and cats and stuff because I'm, you know, I loved animals and we had cats and dogs. And I think we even had lizards and gerbils and birds and shit back then. We've had a lot of animals. But anyways, my brother wrote to her and asked if she had a Nintendo, and my sister's was actually like thought out and like asked why and all that kind of stuff, and it like I said, it didn't really hit me then. So I don't know, it wasn't until I got a little bit later in life, and I think it was really my social anxiety and my depression that kind of turned everything for me. And this is something I think that we'll talk about a lot. It's really easy when you set your mind to a certain thought or idea, it's really easy to fit your situation and your circumstances into that narrative. It's really easy to look for clues that confirm all of your worst fears and doubts and suspicions. So trying to keep a positive mental attitude really is important for that, in my opinion. So I think I was in my very early teens, maybe 10 or 11, when I started having panic attacks for the first time. And it started, surprisingly enough, around my own family. And like, they were always so wonderful. My family is incredible and supportive. Not that we've not had our own issues, and no member of my family is perfect or anything, but they're generally super welcoming people. And I remember going to a birthday party at my church, which we were all really involved in when I was younger, and because we had such a big family, we had to sometimes hold events when we had like friends coming too at like the church, so we could use the gymnasium area and have a lot of space. So we were going to a party at the church, and I remember walking in, and my sister right away got kind of like scooped up by family members because, you know, not only was she a little bit sick, but she was also like one of the sweetest people in the world. She was so nice. A pure soul, as I like to call people. So like right away my sister gets grabbed, and, you know, family members are talking to her about what she's up to. And my brother, some of you guys have heard him on stream sometimes, my older brother, CJ, was always a goofball and had so much energy. So he'd go just like bouncing off into the room, run to my brothers and my brother-in-laws and start wrestling around. And I just would sit there, and like this one time is, I think, the first panic attack that I can remember, at least. I remember seeing this happen, like family split, parents go off to do all the things that they have to do for the party or whatever, and I looked around and everyone's kind of doing what they do at parties of any kind, you know, family or otherwise. They're grouping up in little circles, they're sitting at tables, they're chilling, talking, and I just looked around, and whatever it is that happened, I saw no openings for me. And like, this was my family, I always loved spending time with them, but I saw nothing that made me feel like I was wanted there. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was anything specific. I don't know what I was expecting, or if that happened or didn't happen. I just remember the feeling. Because, you know, a lot of anxiety, it's not logic, it's not actual things happening in whatever our reality is. It's feelings that make you kind of go a little crazy for a while. So I had this feeling that I wasn't wanted there, that I wasn't welcome. And I left the room, I went into a closet, basically, and I had a panic attack, which I don't think I knew what it was, but I cried and I hyperventilated and I sat and I shook in the dark. And then I gradually calmed down out of that, and I went back out to my family and sat down someplace quiet, I think. And, you know, eventually I'm sure I went back and started having conversations and everything. But it was scary, and I think that might have been the turning point where whatever feelings I might have had that were building up before I was old enough to understand them started to come to the surface. And I started to get this idea that everybody hated me. And past that I was the reason why, like, everything was going wrong in our lives. Like, any issue that we were going through, my family, my parents weren't always doing that well financially because, you know, they were about to retire and suddenly they had 3 young children to deal with. So they had to sell a boat they had to move out of the house that they loved. Like, everything in their lives changed. So it was that, it was my sister, you know, having her health issues. It was just so many different little things that got me into that idea that, like, not only was I not wanted, but I was the cause of everything going wrong. And the whole reason I was the cause of it is because my birth mom didn't want me, and I was the one that made her leave. Because in my mind, she stuck around, like, even though my sister had all these medical issues and almost didn't survive her birth. And then the next night, and the next night, and the next night, like, it was so touch and go for the first years of her life. And my birth mom stuck around for that and had so many pictures with her and everything was great. And then she had my brother, and same thing, lots of pictures, lots of energy and love going into her being a parent to them. And then she had me, and she lasted 10, 11 months. And then she left all of us. So I started looking at myself and thinking, like, I don't know what it is, but I did this. Maybe I was a bad baby. Maybe it was just that 2 kids was enough, but 3 was too much. Like, I was the straw that broke the camel's back. I was the reason why she finally had too much. And after all these times of her trying to get clean and taking care of family and not, she just couldn't do it anymore and she left. So as soon as that idea took anchor in my mind, it stuck, it locked itself in there, and for the rest of my life, I saw that, I see that, I still kind of struggle with that feeling. And I know, like, a lot of that is the social anxiety, and it's not all based on my history, but it definitely carried itself forward, and I kept feeling the same way around groups of people, around my friends, around my family, and I started to really hate myself. And, like, I didn't even know who I was, you know, I was a child. Now that I'm 31, I can look back on this and say, like, I was a teenager, I was a kid, and I hated myself, and I didn't even know what my self was yet. All I knew was kind of like what I was in, what my life was back and forth, school, friends, family, whatever, you know. I hadn't explored my own life on my own. I was a kid, but I hated myself, and every chance I got, I reinforced that idea that I was the reason she left. And I've talked about this particular moment where it really got bad for me. I remember being at my grandmother's house with my siblings and my parents, and we're going through some boxes that they had found in the basement that they said were our birth mom stuff. And we were really excited because it was, you know, my like childhood, me as a baby at least. I don't really have much of that because she left so young, when I was so young, and because she was obviously all kind of fucked up at the time. There's not like a huge, you know, it's not like now where there's the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month pictures and everything in between. There's a handful of pictures of me as a baby. So we find these baby books that were in these boxes of things that belonged to my birth mom. And there's one for my brother, sister, and I, and we see my sisters, and there's all these pictures of her in there from, like, when she was born, her weight and, you know, her size and all of that. And then all of this stuff about what kind of baby she was, the things she liked and didn't like going through this little flip book. Then we get to my brother's, and it's the same thing. There's all this information in there. There's these cute little pictures of him as a baby. And I got so excited thinking, like, this is it. I'm finally going to get, like, a little bit of a clue as to what I looked like as a baby, you know, what my birth mom thought or felt about me. And I opened up my book, and it was blank. And this is usually the part where I get super emotional, so I'm trying not to right now. I think I'm going to do it. Just ignore the watery eyes, it's just allergies. But then it really locked into my mind, like, wow, she did not want me. I fucked this up. I'm the reason why, like, everyone is struggling. I'm the reason why there's all these different things that are going on. I'm the reason why my parents also are worried, like, you know, in addition to the stress of taking on 3 kids, my mom, my biological grandma, also had to deal with the idea that her daughter was gone. her oldest daughter disappeared from her life without warning, and no one knew if she was alive or dead or anything. So it's at that time in my life, I would say, I stopped being open to possibility. I stopped seeing the world for what it was. Because I would say, like, in my youth, I always had a pretty healthy curiosity. I wasn't necessarily a good student. I didn't do much in school. I was a little bit rebellious. I had my rough periods there. I do struggle with anger issues as well. We've talked about those plenty of times. But I stopped seeing the world for what it could be, and I started just seeing everything that I had caused. And I started only seeing all of the bad in the world and all the bad that was me. I trained my brain to look for every terrible thing about myself, and I obsessed over them constantly. And I remember the first time that I realized that, and this is, you know, my mind at the time, what I saw it as, that there was a solution, there was something that I could do to make myself feel better, and it was self-harm. And thankfully now, you know, I know that that is not in any way the solution, and self-harm comes in many forms. But I very distinctly remember the feelings that I had, because, you know, if you can think back to a memory, I think the most profound or obvious thing that you get from it is what you feel from it, right? So I really remember the feeling of the first time that I cut myself. I thought I had struck gold, man. Because what happened is I had gone into a place where I was feeling all of my feelings. I was hurting really bad. I don't know if it was from a day that I had a panic attack or if maybe I was just on the verge of one. But I was hurting really bad. And it wasn't necessarily the urge to end my life, but it was the urge to do something. And when I saw something sharp, I went for it. And I cut my arm for the first time. And I remember feeling like that was the right thing to do at that time, because the tears dried up right away. And it was like it never happened. All I knew was what I was feeling right there. So I get it. That was an addiction that I struggled with for, I think, a couple of years before things got worse. But thankfully, I have learned now, obviously, that that's not the answer, that it doesn't help anything. It just suppresses, and it does not help at all with the things that you're feeling. It doesn't change anything. It's still stuff that's in the back of your mind weighing you down, tainting your life. And when I was 15, it finally got to the point where my family started to take notice. I don't know if they noticed the self-harm. I think I did a pretty good job of keeping it from people. Most people who go through this are. So if you find someone in your life who's been doing this themselves, don't blame yourself. I experienced this recently as a family member of mine had gone into the hospital, and we found out that they had suicidal thoughts and were self-harming again. And I had no idea. I had just seen this person recently, and it didn't occur to me, even someone who's been through this, to look, to ask, to notice. But I think I did a pretty good job of hiding it, but past that I think I was a little more withdrawn. I was spending a lot of time just kind of like in my room reading or listening to music and kind of doing nothing, sitting outside with my dogs. So my mom took me to a psychiatrist. And this is where things get a little bit complicated because I had a bad experience, but I also don't want it to deter anyone else from attempting a course of action that could help you. So I want you to remember that my experience was mine alone, and that if you're going to take something from it, take from it that you can speak up and you can put a stop to it, and you are in charge of your mental health. Like you do have a say in it, whether you're young or old, whatever. I had a very bad psychiatrist. They, as a young kid, put me on a crazy amount of medication and didn't listen to me when I told them that it wasn't working for me, but it was making things worse. So as like a 15-year-old kid, they had me on 25 milligrams of Zoloft to start off, and I told my psychiatrist on my next visit that it wasn't working for me. I was still not feeling good. I was still having all these horrible thoughts and feelings, and I also wasn't sleeping, because insomnia is something I've been struggling with for my life, for pretty much my whole life too. And the psychiatrist assured me that I was just kind of in, getting used to it in that phase or whatever, and said, okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to bump your dosage up, because that'll probably help you get used to this faster, or I don't even know what the reasoning is. So they bumped me to 50. Same thing, didn't work. Felt terrible, wasn't sleeping, went back, they bumped me again. They continued to bump and bump and bump without listening, without me really seeing, because, I was a young kid, without me really seeing that this person maybe didn't know what they were doing, or maybe I should be listened to, that I deserve to be listened to whether I was a child or not. And, I don't blame my parents for this, because I don't think they knew. I think it was just something I was discussing with my psychiatrist, and they were doing their best to follow recommendations. But at the end of it, I was on 150 milligrams of Zoloft, 150 milligrams of Wellbutrin, and 150 milligrams of a really heavy-duty sleep aid. And I swear, Klonopin. I don't know why the word always escapes me when I talk about it. But yeah, I was going so long without sleeping. I went like a month without sleeping at one point. I was hallucinating at school, still just hating myself, having panic attacks, just really feeling like I was going crazy. And it was at that time, when I was 15, and on 2 antidepressants and 1 crazy sleep aid, that I attempted suicide. So my self-harming had continued on, and I took the last of all the bottles of pills that I had. Fortunately, a lot of times they say that suicide attempts are a cry for help, and they, another thing that I've heard about or read about is that a lot of times when people attempt to commit, it's usually right at that very moment that they realize that they actually want to live. And I don't know if that's what it was that I was dealing with or not, but I had been talking to my best guy friend at the time, Mark, and I'm so thankful that he's still in my life. He's such a wonderful person. But I was talking to him, and he essentially figured out what was going on, and I don't know what it is that I had said. I don't really remember. I don't know if I was trying to say goodbye or something. But he basically came over, kicked the door down, like literally kicked my door in, called an ambulance and got me into the hospital, like pretty much just in time, because I was starting to hurt really bad. They pumped my stomach, I went into inpatient, and I stayed there for almost 2 weeks. And I didn't have a good inpatient experience either. I learned more from my own experience, I guess, kind of outside of it, or in spite of them, I think, more than anything. But, like I said, this is not something I'm saying to discourage you all from going into or seeking any kind of help, but more just to, I guess, know know when something feels wrong and find the right help. You know, if you feel like you're not being heard by whoever your mental health professional is, then you need a new one. Because that's literally their job, is to make you feel heard and not ignore your concerns. So, you know, see a few people if you need to, talk to someone outside of it if you need to. But I was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. Went through all kinds of different therapy sessions. I really didn't care for them. I didn't really put much effort into getting out of there because I was just mad that I was in there. And I had the staff were not as supportive as I feel they could have been. One of them even mocked me for my arms. He saw my cuts when I was leaving the cafeteria one morning and grabbed my arm as I was walking out, like by the wrist, grabbed it kind of forcefully and looked at it. Said something to the extent of, I don't know why you all do this kind of stuff to yourself. Do you not know how ugly that looks? And this guy also, like, he was really not nice. I was not at all surprised when I found out that another inpatient, a young girl actually, stabbed his hand with a pencil once. Like, he was really abrasive. He should not have been in that job. But anyways, aside from that again, the turning point for me, because I really wasn't putting much into getting out of there or getting anything out of there. I kind of just still saw it as like a joke, I guess. Like, you guys don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what's in my head, and you're gonna tell me that this is how I fix it. Fuck off. I don't want medication. I don't want any of this bullshit. It didn't work for me. You don't know me. My turning point was when my family came to visit me after I had been in there for a little while. My parents and my brother, I think my sister might have been in the hospital at the time. But my parents and my brother came to see me, and like I said, I was still very much in the mindset of like, they're all better off without me. Like, they'll probably be a little upset for a while, but then it'll just be like something that happened and they'll get past it. Not a big deal. And I remember sitting on my bed in my room in the hospital with my parents and doing what a lot of people do when they're struggling with stuff, just pretending like it's not happening. You know, I'm smiling, I'm cracking jokes, I'm trying to goof around while sitting in a hospital after having attempted suicide, acting like I didn't just do that. And out of nowhere, my older brother just put his head in his hands and started sobbing. And, like, my brother and I were really close, and we're starting to get close again, and I'm so happy about that. Like, we are close again. But, like, you know, we weren't super lovey-dovey towards each other or anything. So I kind of still had that same feeling, even though I adored him. Like, I just still felt like I wasn't worth anything, so everyone would be alright if I was gone. And when he started crying and saying, like, I didn't know it was this bad. I didn't know you felt this way. And I saw how upset he was that I was hurting and that I was in there. That was like the first time that I really felt like it would be a bad thing for me to die. So I don't know if like that was like the exact moment where I was like, never again, like, I'm not gonna take this as an option ever again. I'm not gonna allow myself to believe that whatever it is I'm going through, whatever it is that hurts right now, is enough for it to be worth me dying. Because death is so final. It is definitely not something you come back from. Obviously, I know I'm saying like Captain Obvious kind of stuff right now, but it's something that you almost don't think about because sometimes you're so locked into that idea that you're worthless or that like no one understands you because everything that you've been through is so unique and so different. And if they can't understand your pain, how can you ever not be alone? There's so many different things that your mind is going to tell you and that you can tell yourself that will make it seem like hurting yourself or engaging in these super self-destructive behaviors. And that's including the cutting, that's you know, excessive drug use. And I'm not talking about like what we talk about all the time with trying to self-medicate with weed. I'm talking about constantly seeking out the next high, not allowing yourself to feel your feelings, that kind of stuff, or allowing yourself to be used. And this is something that at one point I also struggled with. I went through a period of time where I just did not like myself. So I allowed myself to be around people, in relationships, and with people who definitely didn't deserve any of what I gave them. You know what I mean? In terms of like emotional commitment, anything like that. It's, you've got to start seeing that you have value and know that you are capable of incredible things. And we've got to try and help each other change that narrative, change that idea in our minds, and try and start shifting our thoughts into more positive things. And this is something that Money and I have talked about before, and it was, I think he was the one who explained it to me in this way, or you know, we talked about it in this way. If you think about it, your mind is like a calculator, right? The output depends on the input. If you ask it a question, there's no emotion behind it. It's not going to say, no, don't ask that. It's just going to give you an answer. So if you're asking your brain the wrong questions, you're going to get the wrong answers. So if you are constantly saying stuff in your mind, you know, if you're constantly allowing yourself to think, why am I the worst? Why am I so ugly? Why am I so overweight? Why can't I get ahead? Why can't I do this? Whatever it is, your brain is going to answer. It's going to be like, well, you're ugly because you got big ears, you don't like this about yourself, your thighs are chunky, you know, all the things that my mind tells me every day. Or like, you can't get ahead because this, and this outside things are preventing you from it, or because you're just not smart enough, you're not good enough, whatever. I was always asking my brain to solve the wrong problems, and when I started asking it like, hey, how do I fix my situation? How do I maximize my potential? How do I love my life? How do I start seeing the good in myself? I started seeking answers to those questions. I started being able to think myself through those problems. And I'm not gonna say that you can like necessarily think your way out of mental health, but there is a conscious effort that I believe that you can make to start changing the way that you react to some of it. Oh, absolutely, Jaws, absolutely. What we put on social media is misleading, and I'm sorry about that, by the way. That's terrible. But like what we present to the world is misleading. I was always a smiley kid. That's why my brother didn't know. I was maybe a little reserved during my especially depressive modes, but I was what most people I think would describe as a happy child. I think my suicide attempt did take them by surprise. So, what I try to do now to keep my mental health going, I guess, is acknowledge it, for one. Make note of days where I need a break, because sometimes you do need a break, and there is nothing wrong with that. And I like that certain companies, and I'm sorry if you're not at one of them, it's not everywhere yet, but certain places encourage you to take sick days as mental health days, or mental health days as sick days, whatever. You know, consider that the same thing as getting a cold. Take care of yourself. I try very hard to look for the beauty in the world and try to feel some awe, feel some curiosity that I used to feel when I was a child, because I feel like that, when you can keep your mind occupied, it can be really great for you. Meditation has been really huge for me, especially when it comes to days when, like, I don't know for all of you, but I know when a lot of times when I have panic attacks, I can feel them coming. Sometimes they come completely out of nowhere, and, you know, sometimes they're not necessarily fueled by any events of the day or the year or whatever, but you just feel that chest tightness, and it's like, I am anxious, I cannot breathe. So meditation can be really helpful. I highly recommend meditation, guys. And it's not what you see it as in like maybe what it's been portrayed in the past in the media as. All you have to do sometimes to make a difference in your day is sit, close your eyes, and take some deep breaths. Just breathe. And all you want to do while you're breathing is in your mind say the words breathe in, breathe out. Do that nice deep diaphragm breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth, like, and just say breathe in, breathe out. And your brain is going to throw everything it can at you during this time. This is what I've found. And the analogy I like to use is it's kind of like when you go through your phone, you know, things are a little bit slow. You go through your phone and you close out all the apps that are running in the background. This is kind of like what your mind is going to do when you start attempting to meditate and focus on nothing. It's going to throw everything at you. All those background apps, all that shit that you actually have in the back of your mind that you don't realize you're even thinking about, but you are, is going to come to the surface and you have to ignore them. You just have to kind of throw those emotions and those feelings away. Or not throw them away, but just try to continue and focus on your breathing. It's so nice, so helpful. Get a little eye mask if you need it to keep your eyes closed, if that helps, because I know, like, with me, with my insomnia, sometimes my eyes just pop right open. But I believe that meditation is very, very good for you. It's very helpful. I think you should all try it, whether it's trying to go to sleep at night, and like I said, I have insomnia, I still struggle with it. Meditation helps with that. It helps me when I'm feeling anxious, and it also helps me to feel like I'm being mindful. If I do some meditation in the morning, and then I look around afterwards, and I try to just look for something beautiful, look for something that is inspiring, look for something interesting, whatever it is. And past that, the next thing that I try to do is communicate. I'm fortunate now to be in a very supportive relationship and to have a wonderful relationship with my siblings. My younger ones, my older, we're all very close now, so it's really great to have that, and being able to communicate with someone when you're struggling. There is no weakness in that, and it's important that you know that. Reaching out for help, there's nothing wrong with it. It's so human. Everybody should have somebody to talk to. If you don't have someone in your family, if you don't have someone in your friends, sometimes you might be isolated, you travel for work, you might be living in an area where you don't know people. Find someone. Lots of churches or religious institutions will have someone who's willing to talk to you, even if you don't participate in their religion, even if you've never been to their church before. They will make time for you, they'll listen. I believe there are lots of other mental health resources where you can go and get counseling and get help. And past that, we do know that there is the suicide prevention line. If someone could post that, if we could get a mod to post that in chat, I'd really appreciate it. But communication can be key. Trying to think about just how crazy the possibilities of our lives are, I think helps keep things in perspective for me these days. Because after my suicide attempt, my life changed quite a bit. I believe I was 16, newly 16 if that, when my birth mom came back. It turns out she had been clean for many years, and she actually had 3 more kids, so I just referenced my younger siblings. I talk about them all the time. You see them on my social media and stuff. I fucking adore them. But obviously, if my life had ended, I would never have known that I have 3 incredible, amazing siblings out there in the world. And I am especially grateful for them because we suffered a tragic loss in my family when my older sister passed away. And we'll talk a little bit more about that with regards to, like, mind-body care, I guess. But having them come back into my life, or come into my life, like, I never knew that they existed, and then suddenly I had all these extra reasons to live, you know what I mean? Because I had these young kids that looked up to my brother, sister, and I, and just adored us, and they knew us from babies. Like, we didn't know about them, obviously, because my birth mom wasn't around, but they were raised knowing the mistakes that their mother had made, that our mother had made, and knowing that eventually they were hopefully going to get to meet us again, so they knew us as siblings. being open to the possibilities of life is really key. If I had been able to go back in time and tell my 15-year-old self, like, don't worry, stick it out. When you're in your 30s, you're gonna get to play video games for a living. So, like, it'll be cool, man. Just try to keep your head up. Shit's gonna suck on and off. But, like, in the end, overall, you're gonna wind up in a place where you're pretty happy overall. Like, I wouldn't have believed that shit. No way. But it's because my mind was so closed. I didn't see that the world was so incredibly full of possibility. I didn't see that within myself I'm capable of incredible things. And I feel like I proved that to myself so many times in my life, and I still just shot myself down. Like, all these things I did that I was so proud of, and I would just not allow myself to translate that into being happy with myself in any way. I would still be like, well, it's cool that you did that, but you're still a piece of shit, you know? Now I'm trying to get into more of a place of self-love, which I think is really key. Okay, so the meditation part is really key. The communication part is really key because they all go into this mind-body connection, which I really believe is real. And the best example I have for that is unfortunately a sad one. My sister, I mentioned, she had 3 liver transplants throughout her life. On her 3rd one, and my sister, I mentioned she was 3 years older than me, but we joked around a lot that we were twins, even though she had a much darker complexion than I did. Everything was pretty much the same. But, like, I called her my chocolate twin because we're half Mexican, but she actually looked Mexican. But we were the same height, same frame, so I'm 5'7", she was 5'7", and, like, a healthy weight for us, was usually in the 130s, and she struggled a lot because of her health. She was very upbeat and she was such a wonderful person. We'll talk about her plenty of times in these real talks. But she usually did a great job staying positive. Through her first couple surgeries, she told him, like, I'm going to break some records. I'll be off the ventilator like this. I'm going to be standing up and walking around within this amount of time. And she did it every time. Like, she told them that she would be off the ventilator. Her first surgery when she was 18. She told them that she was going to be off the ventilator in one night. And they were like, normally, after a surgery like this, you're probably going to be on it for a couple of days. You know, if we're lucky, maybe 2. And she was like, no, I hate the ventilator. I will be on it. I will be off of it within the same night. Like, I'm not doing it. And she did. Like, and that's not a conscious decision necessarily that she's making, because that's like her body has to kick in and start breathing on its own after being on a ventilator during surgery, right? So it's not like she can just be like, come on, lungs, everything, let's just kick back in and start working again. But she had that in her mind going into surgery. I'm going to come out of this surgery kicking ass. I'm going to be healthy again. I'm finally going to get to do all these things that I've wanted to do my whole life, whatever. So, for the majority of her medical care, she was so upbeat, and she just kicked ass through it. Her last one was really hard. She was in a rough place because she was really feeling like life was kicking her, because she just wanted to live a normal life, and it just kept coming back around and kicking her over and over and over again with her health, with being sick, being in and out of the hospital, and the fact that she was about to have a 3rd liver transplant. And most people, like, we're thankful for that, obviously, because most people don't get one. The list for that is insane. But she, you know, went all this time feeling like she was healthy, and then suddenly finds out that her liver is rejecting again, and she's gonna have to go through this whole ordeal. She got really, really depressed. She started losing weight. She got super jaundiced because she was also getting really sick since her liver was rejecting. So she also didn't like looking in the mirror, because when you get jaundice really bad, you basically turn like yellow-green. Like, her eyes, the whites of her eyes were entirely green. Someone actually commented on it when she was at the grocery store one day and asked her if she was wearing like snake contacts or something to make her eyes look like that. Fortunately, she was in a much better place at that time and she laughed it off, but she was really struggling. And, you know, I mentioned us being the same size and frame and everything. She got down to under 100 pounds. She was like 98 pounds. And it was awful. She wasn't eating, she was miserable, and we could see it. And she was in the hospital, and they were kind of like in that point, or at that point where we knew that She had potential to get a liver any day now. And the doctors told our family that things had to change. They told her the same thing, that she needed to see someone and start talking about things. Because if she didn't essentially turn her mood around and start looking like she wanted to live, because she looked like someone who had given up, that they weren't going to do the surgery on her. So if you aren't aware of that, this is an actual like rule for transplants and for major surgeries and stuff. If you're in a bad state of mind, if you're severely depressed and it doesn't look like you want to live, they will not perform these, because the mind-body connection is real. And if your mind doesn't want to be there, the body will follow through. So going into that last surgery, it was very evident that she did not want to be there. She felt like she was just putting us all through too much. She felt like a burden to us, and she just didn't want things to work out. Fortunately, she got the help that she needed and went through the surgery. Everything worked out very well. And that was, the first example of a positive mind-body connection helping somebody. It was really crazy to see that they were actually willing to stop her from getting a life-saving organ that she needed because she was sad. And, obviously we know that depression isn't just, I'm sad, but that's essentially, what it felt like at the time. Years later, my sister got sick again. And this was, she went into the hospital with pneumonia, basically, or bronchitis, and it turned into pneumonia, and it turned into necrotizing pneumonia, and it got really bad, and she was in there for about 3 months. And she was really depressed, but it was really touch and go and really scary, but she pulled through. And she was released from the hospital and ready to go home. She was so excited. I remember my mom stopping by my work with her, and, she had some Junior Bacon cheeseburgers in the car. She was really excited about that. It was a beautiful day out, surprisingly, because it was like March. And she was just excited to finally be out of the hospital and be going back to stay with my parents for a while. And during the night, I don't know exactly what happened, but she must have bumped herself, and it was like a couple things at once. So she got a shooting pain in her leg and cried out for my mom and couldn't really get up, and they had to rush her to the hospital, and they found out that she had a blood clot. So they really quickly had to try and reverse it, and it's scary for people who have had transplants. A lot of hospitals don't like to try and treat them because they don't really know exactly how to handle it. They need specialists for stuff like that. So they put her on anticoagulants to try and take care of the blood clot, and somehow when they did that, she wound up starting to internally bleed. The hospital didn't know really how to handle her well enough, so they wanted to get her to the hospital where she had her most recent transplant done, which was actually in Wisconsin. They called for an airlift, but we had been hit by a storm, so they weren't able to get a helicopter for her. So 2 nurses that were getting off duty actually volunteered to ride with her up to Wisconsin to get her the help she needed. So we were all in a room with her together, and it was evident that she was heartbroken. She had finally gotten out of the hospital, and she was feeling good, and she was so happy and starting to feel optimistic, and then life did what it does, and it kicked her, and she just couldn't see out of it. She couldn't see ahead. All she saw was that she was a burden again. She was going back into the hospital, and you could tell she was miserable. And it was so evident that day when we were saying goodbye to her before they put her in the ambulance to take her up to Wisconsin. I knew that she wasn't coming back. She said, "Just let me go." She was so upset. She was so unhappy. And I kept telling her, like, you need to fight through this. You're gonna be alright. you know, the stuff that we always say, and a lot more I don't want to get into. But I knew from the way that she looked at me, I knew from the things that she was saying that she didn't want to come out of it. I knew that she had given up. And I was doing such a good job with this, dudes. And now I don't even know what I did with my little napkin or tissue stash I had. I think maybe it dropped. Yep. The nurses hopped into an ambulance with her and they made a long drive in a snowstorm in the middle of a blizzard. And I guess she was talking the whole way there, and when they made it to the parking lot, she kind of just drifted. It was a few months before what would have been her 25th birthday. That my sister passed away. And I fully believe it's because she gave up. Because she did some miraculous shit before then. If you only knew the extent of some of these medical procedures, some of these things that she went through, we lost her because she gave up. Man, you guys would have loved her. She was so sweet, but so sassy. My little sister Jasmine is so much like her. And that's where that, like, magic of possibility comes back in, because at another point in my life, which was somewhat recent, you know, the past few years, I was going through some rough stuff. I was in a bad relationship, and I was in a bad place mentally. It was right back to kind of hating myself, feeling alone. My older brother and I weren't really hanging out anymore. We weren't really talking to each other. And, you know, my sister, who was my best friend, because we were living together at the time, just the two of us, was gone. So I had it in my head, like, that I would never fully be understood again. Because my sister was also my only biological sibling, like, full biological sibling. We were one or two of six that my birth mom had, but she and I had the same dad. And while, like, blood doesn't necessarily matter, I don't know if that had anything to do with why we were so similar and so close. But she was my best friend. And we just had such a close bond, and I don't know. I was fucking lost without her, and I just kept thinking, like, I'll never have another friend or anything that can fill that place. And it's not that I want to, like, replace her, but I need something like that again. Someone that I can be that close with. And you know, I mentioned my younger siblings a lot. It was only just recently because they're starting to get older, because, you know, they're graduating. My youngest is going to graduate high school, and the other two are college age now. They're my little sister will be 21 late this year. But we started getting really close in, like, a more adult friendship kind of way versus me being their older sibling, because I, like, nannied for them at one point. You know, I was more of, like, an authority figure babysitter. They'd come and spend weekends at my house kind of thing, versus, like, us being real with each other and being, like, friends. So I kind of lucked into some time hanging out with them, like, in the past couple of years, a few years ago now. And then my little sister and brother moved in with me for a while. 2 of them. My younger one didn't move in, but they're here all the time now. But speaking of opening yourself up to the possibilities of the world and all the beauty that's there, I was sitting there thinking, I'm so alone. I'll never have this one thing, this person who shared all this with me, not just our blood, but like thoughts, feelings, emotions. We were so similar. And I remember this moment of having my little sister over, and we were hanging out and joking around about something. And she laughed really hard. And it was the first time, I think, in a long time, or maybe it was the first time with like, you know, her being an adult and us hanging out, that she had laughed like that. And I heard my older sister through my younger one. And for those of us who have lost someone, like, you know, the things you would do to hear their voice one more time. But she laughed really hard. My little sister. And it was then that I realized, like, how much she's like my older sister. And they weren't even necessarily raised like that close, because my older sister was older than me, you know, so she was even more of like a really big sister to her. She didn't get to see her as like as an adult, as a friend, as a goofball, as, you know, a jackass, whatever. So getting to see all of a sudden that without having that necessarily be rubbed off on her, she's so much like her. And it just, I cried. Oh man, I cried my eyes out that night. It was like the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. And once again, like, if my life had ended at 15, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to know my siblings, know them now as young adults, and know that they actually are so similar. Like, we're all so connected now. I'm so grateful my older brother is back in my life. And my younger siblings are fucking incredible. My birth mom, you know, was accepted back into my family after a little bit of a thing, but my whole family is really close now. You know, I get to hang out with my mom and my birth mom together. My birth mom and my mom are super close. And none of this would have been something that I would have gotten to experience and be inspired by and be thrilled and like happy about and feel that kind of love that comes from that if my life had ended at 15. So what I take from that and what I tell people and what I like to share is that, like, you just really never know. It's so easy to be stuck in this thinking that, like, I will never get out of this, my life will never get better, or to be convinced that life is going to keep kicking you and you'll never be able to recover from it. And it will, because if I have learned one thing for sure, it's that life is a dick. Every chance it gets, it's gonna hurt you, and in some really bad ways sometimes. Like, we've suffered so many profound losses before my sister, since my sister. It's going to keep happening in my life, but I know now that if I let that stop me, that I'm just missing out on all of this crazy shit that I never even saw coming, including my streaming career. I would never, ever, ever have guessed that I would be in this role. I always felt like I was so misunderstood, like I was never gonna find something that fit me, because while I was feeling like I'm decent at this job, I'm good at this, I understand this, I was like, I want to help people, but I want to be able to talk to people. I want to be able to laugh at work. I want to be relaxed. I don't want to go to sleep grinding my teeth at night because I'm so fucking stressed out, because that was my corporate job. But I took some risks, I took some gambles, I struggled really hard for a lot of time with money, with everything. After my sister died, I got evicted from my place not too long after that because I couldn't afford to stay there. I was working as hard as I could, but couldn't. You know, I had to downsize, and I struggled from there so many times. There was a period where I had to make decisions, like I had to just eat chicken and rice for months because it was the only thing that I could eat and also feed my dogs. Like, life is gonna be really hard sometimes, really hard. It might be really hard in succession. It might be hit after hit after hit that you take, but you never ever know where your life could go because you just simply can't comprehend it. But if you at least try, I think, to open your mind to the potential, to the possibilities, to all the beauty that's out there, if you try to train your mind to seek that beauty out, I believe it will do you a world of good. I really truly believe that it can help you. And this is on top of whatever it is that you have to do for yourself, whether it's medication, whether it's meditation, whether it's therapy, or just talking to a friend. You've got to do something for yourself, and you have to see that your life is worth it. You have to at least, like right now, say to yourself, death is not the answer. I will not continue to self-harm or do these self-destructive behaviors. I'm going to do my best to live this life to the maximum, to do what I can with it. And if you look through history, if you look through examples of people, and whether it's celebrities or everyday people, you'll see that what we might consider miracles are actually everyday things. Humans are capable of incredible things. We are capable of incredible things. People like, I looked up celebrities who didn't make it until they were late in life. Google that. Google people who didn't achieve success until late in their lives. There are people who don't figure out what they want to do until their 50s, 60s. I know dudes who got into jujitsu when they were in their 80s. Like, you can do anything. Really. This stuff that, like, some of our parents told us and that we saw on kids programming about, like, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. That shit is fucking true. Look into it. Look into the crazy things that people have done despite disabilities or restrictions or financial issues or whatever. Despite having everything stacked against them, people constantly succeed. Yeah, there's a dude that I trained with at my gym that is in his 80s and he still rolls. It's crazy. It is crazy, guys. Okay. So this is where that organizational point came into it, or I guess, I feel like the last mental health stream that we did, I didn't do my best. I feel like it was a little bit sloppy. I was really disappointed in it, which is part of the reason why I didn't jump into anything and schedule another one right away. I wanted to try and do some research, and I want to continue to do some research, and I will continue to do some research, but I wanted to give you guys something actionable. I wanted us to have something that we could discuss together and see if there's a way that we as a community, as the Snap Pack, can help each other achieve more, or at least alleviate some of the weight that we all carry on our own, try and help our minds a little bit. So I watched a ton of videos, I read a lot of articles, I did the majority of the research I'm capable of doing at this time, you know, before this at least, and like I said, I'm going to continue to learn. But here's some things that I think that we can agree to do, or some things that might help you, right? So if you're currently struggling and you haven't taken any steps towards anything, you're feeling lost, you're in a rut, whatever it is, here's some things, and these are actually numbered steps, okay? Number 1, get organized. This is something I want to do so bad. I'm trying my hardest. I'm taking little steps here and there, but it is a huge goal for me because I know what it did for my mental health years ago, and I know what it can do for me right now. So get organized, whether that's getting an agenda, which I think a lot of people should have. If you use your phone, if you use an actual physical copy, if you have a calendar that you reference every day, get organized with your bills, your meetings, with your how often you see your friends. You know, one of the things I like to do to encourage myself to check my calendar regularly is I'm kind of a sentimental person. I make note of everything and I always carry things over year after year. So if I've accomplished something, if I had a meaningful interaction, like I went out with my friends and we saw a movie that I liked, or we just had like a really cool day, I write that on my calendar with the year, like had a really great dinner with these friends, and then in parentheses I put the year it happened. That's all I need. Every year then, I start going through this, and like some of the years of my calendar, I have certain days that have multiple things. Like I went to a bridal shower that I had a great time at this day. I had a great conversation with this person this day. Like whatever it is, it encourages me to check my calendar more often, and I feel better when I'm sticking to it. Clean your house out. And clean your relationships out. So like these two both go hand in hand, and it's something that we've talked about in previous streams about this. I read this book from Marie Kondo called The Life-Changing Magic Art of Tidying Up. I'll find the exact title and let you guys know. But it basically, there was one part that really stuck out to me, and it talked about the impact of your surroundings on your life. So, you know, you have a tidy area with not a lot of clutter, not a lot of extra stuff. It can help your mental state a lot, and this was something that they had shown in kids too. That kids were shown to be less anxious and stressed and stuff like that when their areas were nice and clean and free of clutter and things that they didn't need, you know, unnecessary weight. So one of the chapters in the book discusses how you go about this tidying up thing where you clean your whole house and everything. And it says you basically go in this format where you, life-changing magic of tidying up, thank you, Saint. And you start with your clothes and you move on from here and here and here. But the main thing that you do with every single item that you own is you pick it up, look at it, say, does this bring me joy or not? And then make a decision about that right then and there. If it brings you joy, and that joy can come in many forms, whether it's something sentimental, you get a happy feeling when you hold it or see it, it's something that you like wearing because it makes you feel comfortable, whatever it is, if it brings you some form of joy, then you keep it, you set it aside. If you look at something and you don't have that immediate reaction of like, yes, this brings me some form of joy, then you discard it. No second thoughts, no what if I need this later in life, what if someday I run out of this or I might need this, whatever, you get rid of it. So I started thinking about this principle more and more often, or this idea, and I started to apply that to my relationships in my life. I realized I was in a very toxic relationship at the time. I managed to get myself out of that, thankfully. Like that's something for another time as well, because we've discussed the emotionally abusive, physically abusive, all the other shitty relationships that I've been in, whatever. But I started to identify all these relationships where it really wasn't bringing me any joy. And I don't mean this in the sense that like your friends or your family owe you things, or they owe you something, like I don't know. I just mean that you can identify very quickly, if you really think about it, what are the toxic relationships in your life? What friendships, and a lot of us stay in the same area that we are at from youth, right? So like I have all these friends, a lot of people I know have all these friends that you kind of accumulate as you age. And it's just because they have classes with you, they go to work with you. It's like a circumstance thing, you know? But we stick it out like frenemies. You know, we've heard that term, right? So many of us have these. They don't really help our lives in any way. We're not doing ourselves any good by hanging out with them, other than giving ourselves something to like kind of feel negative about. So I started looking at these relationships and identifying ones where it was clear that I didn't know why I was participating in it. All that was happening is I would feel bad when I was around these people or this person, and I started telling them in a nice enough way, I don't feel good about myself when I'm with you. These are the things that have happened that kind of make me feel bad. It doesn't feel like this is a real relationship, whatever it is. And I'm gonna distance myself. And goddamn, it feels wonderful. Some of them said some nasty things on the way out, even though I swear I was never like, you are this, you are that. It was just like, hey, you know, I had to wonder why we're really friends, because it doesn't really feel like we're friends. You know, it feels more like you put me down a lot and I feel kind of taken advantage of or whatever. You know, it was something along those lines in a non-finger pointy way, and I got responded to in a lot of situations with, well, fuck off, you're a bitch. And I was like, okay, well, thank you for making this so much easier for me. So now I may have a little bit less relationships in my life, but the ones I have are incredible. It is a two-way street. I feel like I could communicate with them, and I like to believe that they feel that they could communicate with me if they needed to. If we need each other, there's a good support system there. So eliminate the toxicity from your life, from your home. Eliminate those relationships that aren't doing you any good. And sometimes this means putting yourself in a situation that's scary. It might mean leaving a job when it's a really scary move. but it's something that you have to do for your health. It might mean leaving a relationship even though you're not sure how you're going to make it alone. It might mean having to tell a family member that you're not going to be talking to them anymore, because you might feel that you owe them something, but you don't. It is your life. You are the only one who's going to live it, so live it the way that makes you feel your best. I think we all deserve that, right? And we have this No Fucks Given campaign thing. We have those shirts and the mugs, and we talk about it all the time, the No Fucks Given thing, but it's all based on the idea that you don't owe anybody anything. You should live your life no fucks given, provided, and there is an asterisk here, provided it's not at anyone's expense. If you are not deliberately going out of your way to harm or actively ignoring the fact that your actions have consequences that do impact other people's lives, then you do you, boo-boo. You know what I mean? Have your fun, live your life, do the things that make you happy, no apologies. If the things that make you happy are being looked down on by people around you, then maybe those people shouldn't be around you, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, like my brother and I didn't talk for a couple years. And it was heartbreaking and it sucked. But it wound up being the right thing, and now I'm so grateful to have him as one of my best friends. Duple, you do you, boo-boo. You do you. Boo-boo. I will say whatever I want, 0 fucks given. Okay. So that all goes to number 1, that whole get organized. You're clearing, you're organizing, you're clearing the toxicity, and you're trying to kind of take control of your own life again, right? So that was number 1. And by the way, your gut will be your biggest ally in all of this. We have visceral reactions to things. You feel this shit. You feel it in your chest and your stomach sometimes. I can tell you without a doubt, in all these bad relationships I've been in, with all these toxic things I've eliminated from my life, I can look back and see so many clear instances where I ignored what you can view as a red flag or as like a gut reaction to something and was like, well, justify. You know, it's really easy to do that, but you need to trust your gut. If you're struggling with a decision, pretend it's one of your friends bringing it to you. What would you say to them? How would you walk them through it? You would usually trust your gut, right? And be like, hey, this doesn't feel right to me, right? Does it feel right to you? Really, really do this. Exactly, Dorcius. I showed him, boo-boo. Okay, so trust your gut. Number 1 was get organized, get used to using some kind of an agenda, track the stuff that you have to do, your bills, everything, get into a routine where you check that all the time. Clear your home if you can, eliminate all the extra shit you've been dragging around that you don't need. Clear all of those excess relationships that don't help you but only hurt you. And don't feel bad about it. Live your life for you. Okay, so now, the second thing that I found in terms of what things that you can do, that we can all do to try and help ourselves moving forward. Get social / try hobbies. Part of seeing the world for what it is, I think, is branching out and trying some new things, right? So get out of the house. I know how easy it is to be reclusive. I do it all the time. I know that social anxiety is a bitch, but I think we can all try and challenge ourselves to do some social activity because we need it. We really do, because you need people to talk to, you need a support system in your life. Try some things, find some things that interest you, pursue some interesting topics. If you need some suggestions on things that might be fascinating to you that you can kind of dive into and go research and have fun with, feel free to hit me up. Martial arts is awesome. I think that's a great hobby. Crafting, gaming, whatever it is. Do something and utilize the support system that comes with it. Be a part of a community if possible. Oh, really? Good, Saint. Good. And the Chicago meetup is coming up. I'm so happy about this. I can't wait to go there, and I really hope that some of my friends, not naming any names, but some of my friends that are also struggling with social anxiety will be able to go to this and see that it's actually really chill. Okay, so that was number 2, get social. Try some hobbies. Be a part of a community. It's really helpful. I know how scary it is. I really do. Trust me, like, I medicate through marijuana. It works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. I can't say that it's like a blanket thing. But let me tell you, I power smoke before I leave the house sometimes because I get so anxious about things going wrong at my house while I'm gone, about things going wrong while I'm there, about no one wanting me there, about me being a piece of shit, all that kind of stuff. But I still try my hardest to go out as much as I can. Alchemist, and aren't you happy that you did? We got to hang out that whole day. We had so much fun. That sushi was amazing. I think it counts to an extent, true, but this does also involve you getting out of your house at some point, okay? I think that's key. If you're going to be a part of a member or a member of an online community, try to schedule a time to go and actually meet these people who you're becoming friends with. I think you'll be amazed at how welcoming and how special that can be. Like, GuardianCon is one of the most inclusive events I think that exists out there for our community, because it really doesn't matter what you do, what you like. It's so welcoming. Everyone is so friendly. I really think it's worth going to that. Okay, so we're moving on. Moving on to number 3 here. Self-care. Self-care is huge. Huge, 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 huge. And this is one of the things that I think we can help each other with, and I thought of an idea on how we can do it, so you guys let me know what you think when I get to that, okay? I know, but I'm just saying, like, it went from us chatting to you, like, leaving with us. You know what I mean? Ooh, nice, Big Daddy, enjoy it. Okay, so, water. We all need to drink more water. We really, 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 really need to drink more water. Please start drinking water. I don't understand it. Some people say they don't like the taste. I don't get it, but I understand it might not be something you're thrilled about, but do it. Drink water. And for the environment, please get a Contigo, get a whatever, a reusable water bottle. Don't go buy a bunch of water bottles. It makes us sad. But get something, put water in it, carry it with you everywhere. Drink more water. Drink more water. Okay. Sleep is key. This can be hard. I get it. I also struggle with it. You guys have noticed a shift in my mood since Money moved in. Partially, obviously, I think because I'm so happy to have him here, but also I've been sleeping. I've managed to actually get some rest, and it has improved my state of mind so much. Like, I feel it in the mornings when I don't want to break things right away because I struggle so much with my anger issues. And when I'm tired, there's a lot less of a, I don't know, a line in between me snapping and not. But sleep can be huge, and going back to things we talked about earlier, meditation can be very helpful for sleep. So look into it, listen to some soothing music, get an eye mask, something that covers your eyes so no light comes in. Believe it or not, it really does make a really big difference. At least for me, it has. Highly recommend. Nutrition is key. If all you're doing is putting a bunch of terrible processed things into your body, you can't be too surprised that it's not doing great things for you. Try your best to have some healthy meals once in a while. Have some fruits, have some vegetables, drink water. Have I mentioned drink water? And then this is the main thing that I think we can help each other with. So one of the videos that I was watching, and then something else that I was reading said, if this is correct, I might be wrong, but I believe that this is what it was, that it's now mandated by the American Psychiatric Association that anyone who comes in struggling with anxiety or depression, any kind of disorder like that, they always put it as a mandatory requirement for your recovery or whatever, or for taking care of yourself, your self-care, that you do at least 30 minutes of exercise every day. So this is where I think we can help each other, because with technology and stuff, I think this would be a really cool community thing for us to do. And I was thinking a Google Doc might be perfect for this, if we just go into like an Excel sheet type of thing, and everyone puts their name in one column, and we do Monday through Sunday in there, and then every day we all plan on going in there and typing in our little column for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, what exercise we did that day for 30 minutes. So this can be going for a walk, it can be actually doing like sit-ups, doing whatever. I want to do it myself. I need to do it myself. I miss the way I felt when I was exercising regularly, when I was in martial arts. Like, I felt wonderful. I was, I think, in the best mental shape of my life. Once the weather is a little better, Wolfie, I would love to do that. Some IRL walks would be really nice. Although, honestly, I don't know if I want to do that. Because one of the things that I do recommend when you go, if you do take the time to go for a walk, use that as some time for experiencing the world and getting off of your social media if you can. I struggle with it, but I think it could be really good. When I go for walks, I try not to listen to music even. Like, I look around, try to look at your world and look at it through the eyes of like a child, you know? Try to experience some curiosity, some wonder. Look for things and see how cool they are. And you know, one of the things I think that helped me to see how crazy things are from that perspective, I guess, is scuba diving. Because there was something really cool that I noticed about how there was so much going on big and small all the time. Like, everywhere you looked, there was more to see. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're swimming along through, like, a reef, for example, you can look across and see this vast ocean and be like, wow, that is incredible. There is miles and miles, like, endless ocean out in front of me. It's everywhere, and be amazed by it. But then I could also look and see fish and be like, wow, look at that school of fish. They're amazing. That's so cool. Look at the intricate ways that they seem to be communicating with each other, how they stay so close to each other but never touch. Look at their beautiful colors. Look at all the crazy things that happen with them. These are chewing on coral and fucking shitting out sand. Like, you know what I mean? There's crazy stuff happening. If I'm not looking at the fish, then suddenly I'd find myself looking at the sea floor. And even in the sandy spots, there's life there. There's tiny little bits of life. There's crazy things going on below the surface of the sand. There's tiny little crabs. There's little microscopic things. Even in the water, there are these things floating in front of my eyes that I couldn't even see. You look at the coral, and it looks like a big rock, and you get closer, and you see that it's made up of all these tiny little organisms, all these tiny fish and different types of wildlife, and you get even closer and you see that even the holes of the coral have all kinds of life inside of them. So it's like everywhere you look, you're missing out on something else, but you're seeing more than what you realized was even there. And I think if you go out in nature and you take a walk like that, and you try to look at things in that way, like, what exactly am I looking at? It's not just grass on the ground. There's ants crawling around in there. There's life that lives here. How does this life exist? What does it do? How does this work? You know, be curious, be interested in your world. It's a cool fucking world. So that's why I think, like, if you're gonna do the exercise, if you're gonna go out in the world, and I think we should, especially as the weather starts to turn, try and spend as much time outdoors as we can. And obviously I love gaming just as much as you, but I think there's a way we can achieve some kind of balance here. But I highly recommend it. So, like I said, that's something that I was really, really interested in, is finding out that they mandate that now as a part of your recovery, as a part of your prescription or whatever. They prescribe you exercise. So I would like to start that. I'm gonna probably put that up. I'll send you guys a link. Anybody who's interested, put your name in there, and then every day, let's go in there and say what we did. Even if it's something small, let's try and hold each other accountable. And if one of us notices that one of our friends on that list hasn't done anything yet, me included, let's hit each other up. Maybe if we put our social media in there, it would be cool too. That way we can all be like, uh-oh, you haven't put your exercise in, let's go tweet at them, or let's go hit them up on Instagram or whatever. I think it'll be a Google file and we'll just post it everywhere. Maybe we can pin it in the Discord, in the mind-body connection thing. Oh, I gotta crack my neck. There we go. But yeah, I think that could be really cool. What do you guys think of that? Do you want to do that with me? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so the next one, this, like I said, we're on a list here. I actually attempted to be a little bit more, prepared for this. So, number 4, keep busy as much as possible, and this goes back to 2 and 3, which was get social and try hobbies, and then self-care, which included exercise. Keep busy. It's really easy for me as well. I think my ADD gets in the way of this a lot. I get distracted easily. I don't finish things that I start, so I don't always keep busy. I feel overwhelmed by things, and the organization ties into that. When you make lists, when you make goals, and you try and write things out, I think it's easier for you to stay busy and keep active and keep on top of your self-care. So all of these things go in together, right? So do your best to keep busy as much as possible. Go out into the world, read books, exercise, find things to do that aren't the same thing every day. If for nothing else, just for the fact that, like, the world is really cool, like I said, and there's so much to experience out there. And then number 5. So this was the final one, and it ties in with a lot of this as well. Talk to someone. Do not ever feel ashamed about the way that you're feeling, okay? You can't control it. It's cool. Like, you can do your best to like shape your thinking patterns if you try and do it repetitively all the time. Try and shift your train of thought about things, but do not ever be ashamed for thinking things or for feeling like you need help. You need to be able to talk to people, and if you go out, get social, if you try and be a part of a community, if you try to get out, I think it will help you find people who you feel you can talk to, because a lot of us feel alone all the time and very misunderstood. And I think the more you talk to people, the more you realize that you're not alone, because you see that other people are struggling with some of the worst things that you've gone through in your life, right? And I think part of being able to heal is definitely knowing that you're not alone. It really helps, because that loneliness, it just eats away at you. It really does. So don't be ashamed to talk to people. Find someone who you can trust and talk to them. And this is something I say in all these streams. This is something that I say in my regular streams. Don't ever feel bad coming into my chat or into Discord with bad news or saying, I'm having a hard day, can I talk to someone about it, okay? Don't ever feel bad, of course, Wolfie. Because I promise you, we could be in the middle of joking around, it does not matter. It's not gonna ruin anything for anybody, okay? I promise you, you will be greeted properly. If you come in here and you tell us you're hurting and you need somebody, it does not matter what we're doing. If we're drinking, if we're goofing off, if we're being ridiculous, we really mean it. When we, and I'm speaking for all of us who have said this before in chat, when we say that we're here for you, we really mean it. Really. I have my DMs open on Twitch, Discord, and Instagram. And for people who I'm following on Twitter as well, please, if you are struggling, I can't promise I'm going to be like right on the spot with it, but I'm definitely here for you. I will do my best to be there for you and listen to you. I really will, and I'll do my best to offer advice whenever I can, if it's anything that I have anything to do with. But just know you're really not alone here, alright? We've got you. This is a great community of really wonderful people, and so many of us have suffered through some really awful stuff, so you'd probably be surprised at the perspective, at the things that you learn, at the things that you feel comfortable talking about. That was my list. That was all the things. I wanted to make sure we went through all of that. I'll start that Google Doc today if you guys are on board. But now it's kind of open. And just a reminder, we're having our movie night tonight. We're gonna try to bring this back up with some more positivity. And we're gonna do Super Troopers at 7 Central. You just have to get into Discord and we'll tell you how to get into it and everything. But for now, if you want to talk, if you want to ask some questions, if there's anything that we can do for you, now is the time for us to kind of talk about it. Or if you have something positive to share, like, this is what I've learned, or if you want to get into your ATLTs, which is appreciate the little things, if you want to share something that you're grateful for or thankful for your day today or your life today, please feel free to do that. Wow, that's nice, Trin. I'm glad you came from Broman, too. Alchemist, I know, and that's just another example of life being crazy and full of possibility that you can't even think of. You can't even imagine. Your brain can't comprehend all the different possible outcomes of your life because there's so many things you don't even know exist yet. Hi, Carp. It'll be on Rabbit, yeah. I get it, truth will set you free. you're starting to slip back into those places, and that's tough. Feeling like your friends are drifting away, I think all of us go through that at some point in our lives. I think what they say is like you change your group of friends, like your active group, I guess, every 7 years or something, right? But I think being open to those possibilities and trying to put yourself out there and getting out and getting into community can really help you. Because a lot of times the friends that we have are, as I mentioned earlier, based on our circumstances, where we are, where we work, what schools we go to, our family friends, our friends of friends. We don't really give ourselves the option or the opportunity to meet people that we really connect with based on similar ideals, interests, whatever. We just stick with what we have. So if you're feeling a little stuck, maybe that's something that could help you, is getting out, trying to get into a community, trying to find some new friends. Yes, and struggling with depression, absolutely. It makes getting organized very difficult. So try to make some baby steps today. If all you do today is buy a new notebook or get a good calendar that you know you can put someplace, do that. That's one great baby step you can do today to get yourself organized. Throw out 5 things from your house that you know you don't need. Do some little things for yourself. Guardian Down Gaming, I'm really glad. I'm glad that this has been helpful for you. You sent me something, Carp? Okay. Oh, well, thanks, Nasta. Thank you. I'm glad that you're here. Carp, you're going about it from the wrong angle. I'll send you a message after. We'll talk. And it manifests in so many different ways, depression, and I think that's another thing that talking to someone can help. Some of us don't realize exactly what we're dealing with because we've never really discussed it or identified some of those things with other people. Like, my mom doesn't fully believe in the idea of depression or anxiety, but she is depressed and has anxiety. I've tried to talk to her about it so many times. It's something in our family. Like, my whole family is pretty much dealing with anxiety and depression at all times, but they just call it worrying. So, like, I try to talk to her about that all the time. Like, you know, you can talk to someone about this. It's really going to be beneficial for you. Some exercise would help, whatever. Yes, absolutely. Feeling stuck, absolutely. If feeling stuck was the thing that prompted you to make some change in your life, then it wasn't terrible, right? Oh, that's really nice. I'm happy that you have that to be grateful for, Pino. I really, I don't necessarily believe the same religious beliefs that I do. I do believe in a sense of God and spirituality and whatnot, but I do know when I was younger, the church, being involved in the church was really helpful for me. Oh, I'm glad, Joker. I'm glad. I'm sorry to wake you up early. I tried to start it as late as I could. Thank you, Kodiak. I was interested in hearing your feedback based on what you had said earlier. The movie's at 7 Central, Duple. Thank you, Simoda. And you know what? I just saw your message about what happened with my sister and everything. I wouldn't talk about her, really, for the first part of my stream career, that is. I wouldn't even mention her name because, honestly, I was always really nervous that someday someone would use that against me. Because, you know, people are terrible. And my sister's name was Tanya, Tayna, and it was, yeah, it was really hard for me for a second to say it out loud. But, like, she had such a beautiful name, she was such a beautiful person, and I used to love talking about her, and I was scared to, because I was always worried that someone might say something nasty and use her name for it. And I, like, refused to put myself in that position. But after talking about it for the first time, I got a bunch of DMs from people who had also suffered the loss of a sibling who felt connected because of that. And I was like, well, fuck. Time to stop holding back, huh? I'm scrolling. If I missed anything, I'm sorry, Wolfie. I'm scrolling up and down to try and make sure. And I did say I'll give you a big hug, right? And you're staying overnight Friday and Saturday here, right? You're thinking of quitting your job? Let me tell you, I've quit 2 or 3 different jobs where I struggled like a motherfucker after, like real bad. But I slept better. I was poor, I was stressed about money, but I didn't hate every day of my existence like I did when I was at work. Oh, really, Clark? That's funny. Ugh, I was talking about that. Who was I talking about that with? A while ago. It used to be a thing that people would actually find me because of my gameplay. I'd saw some in Destiny and then make some friends. Oh, really? Because of Freddy? I really, really like Freddy. And you're more than a lurker, MJ. We talk about your dinner all the time. The Body Coach on YouTube? Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like that, Shaffy. You're eating grapes, Cha-Cha? I love grapes. Yes, and hygiene is really key. That was one of the things that was involved in getting organized. Having some form of a routine can be really key. Wash your face in the morning, at night, you know, brush your teeth, put some lotion on, whatever it is. Just get into some routine. It can be really great. Of course, Trin. Hugs will be had. I'm sorry, I had to scroll way up because I realized I missed a bunch of stuff. Absolutely, one thing at a time, Saint. Just doing one thing now can build momentum, turn into a new habit. Yes, and C1 is agreeing with me on the martial arts. Martial arts, music, there's so many great communities associated with those activities, and I highly recommend them. Oh, good, Wolfie! I'm glad that you're feeling better today. I know, Common, I'm sorry. Yes. And I definitely deal with that, especially when I'm tired, Ivana. Especially when I'm not sleeping well. I'm so fast to anger. I'm so just I don't feel myself. I want to be friendly to people most of the time. Yes, MJ, the worrying thing, my grandma always talked about that. She always called my family a bunch of worrywarts, and I was like, oh, actually, it turns out we're anxious. Yes, I think I told you about that when we met, and if not, I know one of the other moments, Alchemist, with the Nintendo that I remember that like really makes me happy is I remember one time my mom staying up, and you know my mom was my grandma, so she didn't really game. They had to work so hard to take care of us, but we had a Nintendo, and I remember one time being young, and my brother, sister, and I were playing Rampage in the basement. And my mom came down to tell us it was time to go to bed, and she wound up staying up all night playing the video game with us instead. So, D-Monkey, you're feeling stuck, and I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm like way up compared to where we're gonna be. But, D-Monkey, I understand that, just... I think when you're feeling stuck and you don't know what career paths to follow, start following your passions and you'd be amazed at what careers are associated with them. You know? Like gaming and Twitch. You really never know until you start following and finding the things that you're passionate about. Shit, I just lost my chat. I just refreshed it and I bet I'm gonna miss a bunch of stuff now. Frick! Let's hope that it saved it in the bot. Alright, we're gonna have to pull that up. I have not seen your text, Dopa. I will check. Oh, shit. Well, good. Yeah, the community in martial arts is awesome. Oh, you have agoraphobia. I'm so sorry. That's gotta be so rough to try and work through. Right, Def, that was actually just funny. That will always be funny to me, though. Oh, I'm sorry, MJ Pen. Yeah, and that was the only time I can ever think of it happening, Panda, with my mom playing video games with me. But it was really special. It's just, I had Twitch open, and I have my bot open, so I'm just trying to keep up with, like, all the words that you guys have said, and it's just... I did not see your text, let's just say. I saw something about the Rampage movie, and I got really excited. Okay. I have the Nintendo now, thanks to Alchemist. Like the, what is the NES Classic? It's so dope. Okay, Pino. Hey, take it easy, man. I'm glad that you've got that community, too. Yeah, and, like, I didn't start doing this until I was in my late 20s, man. Like, I would never have expected to be a 31-year-old that primarily plays video games as my job. Nice, MJ Pen. I hope you have a great day with your son. Yeah, dude, you never know where it's gonna take you, right, Clark? You can find a new passion, you can find a crazy job, you can have something fall into your lap, you might have to work hard, who knows? But be open to the possibilities. Thank you, JJ. I don't know about that. Okay, hold on, I gotta... We'll turn the alerts back on, because I think I missed some stuff. Oh, I did. Anonymous. Oh, I don't even know if you're still here. Thank you so much for the $50. That was really generous. I can't believe... I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. The message said, thank you for always sharing your soul and for touching ours. That's really fucking nice. Thank you. Herrick, thank you for the sub. Hemi, thank you for 13. I love you, dude. Mariana, thank you for the $1. It says, I may not be able to give you a lot of money, but I sure as hell can give you a lot of love and a spot in my heart. That's really sweet. Thank you, Mariana. I always feel very lonely. Listening to you talking and feeling the love in chat makes me feel a little bit better in life. Great! That is all we want, Mariana. We are here for you. All we want is just for you to, like, really get that we're here for you. Wolfie, thank you for the biddies. Kodiak, thank you for the sub. Mako, hi. Alright, C1, have a great day. The feeling must be amazing. It's terrifying, but yes. And honestly, like, I talk about this all the time. I'm not necessarily where I'm at or where I would like to be in terms of being able to pay my bills on time or live my life the way I would really like to be living it. But I'm so much happier than I was when I was paying all my bills on time and when I felt like my life was going in a certain direction that seemed like it was the right direction at the time. So I'm in a position where I struggle more than I prosper, but I'm happy as fuck. Like, overall, I'm certainly still dealing with my depression. I struggle with that. I struggle with my anxiety, my anger, all that stuff. But I know, like, at the base of it, I guess, like, I'm happy. I'm happy with the decisions that I've made that have brought me to this point where I feel like I'm in a position where I can change things, where I can do stuff. Thank you, Shafi. Ooh, I see. Bring all the stuff, Wolfie. Raccoon, yes. Thank you, Guardian Down Gaming. Thank you. Yes, that's my favorite part about our community, honestly. I'm so grateful. I don't know how I got so lucky to know all of these wonderful people, but I'm grateful for it because it is real as fuck. JJ, thank you for the 15. Clark Strider, thank you for gifting that sub to Savage Nomad. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Dark. Thank you. Oh, and we have to go to the thing on Monday because today kind of, you know, the mental health stream was scheduled so early it made it a little challenging to pull off. Hi, Pack Mappy. What's up, dude? Destiny Cash Cow Run Drive. That's what you want to get out of that? That's cool. Stoned High. But yeah, I'm really happy that so many new people spoke up today. I'm sorry, I know I missed a lot of the messages that you guys were talking about during what I had to say, so I appreciate. I did see a lot of what you guys were responding to each other with, and it was really great. Dorcius, honestly, I think everything, or at least a lot of things in life, come down to setting expectations and being honest. If you're feeling super grateful, say it. And if you don't generally exhibit signs of what people consider to be like an emotional or like a really grateful person or whatever, then tell them. Like, I've been in streams before where someone's getting like totally, you know, spoiled, whatever. Like, people are really being so kind to them and they're so happy and they're so grateful. And people are expecting them to start crying or like do whatever. but they're not that type of person, and they're like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not a crier, I'm not whatever, like, but I swear to you, I really do appreciate this. If you're being sincere, I think people see that. Like, at least in my experience on Twitch, when I'm being insincere in any way, I'm trying to hide my feelings, my emotions, you guys see through me real fast. It's so hard, Cookie Crisp, but like, if you can try to focus on any of the positive stuff, I think that really helps. Like, try to look back on the happy memories. Try to think about things that you've learned from that relationship. Like, I think about that a lot with my sister. Like, how would she be doing right now? What would she be, like, telling me to do? How would she react to this news? Whatever. Good, Guardian Down. Spider Boy, I'm sorry you're so sad today, man. Whatever it is that's going on, that's, you know, I hope it gets better for you. Why is this still being weird? There we go. I couldn't get a video feed to pull up again for my stream. That was driving me nuts. Everyone around you judges you for your tattoos. I feel like you need to oh shit. Hold on, I'm sorry. Sorry. Alright. No, they really are. It's terrible. And being in a rut can, like, really, really impact that, where you don't feel like you have an opportunity to get out and do anything outside of your everyday. That can be really tough. Okay, Zach, got it. Thank you, Shaffy. It is amazing and comfy. I was so excited about this one. I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily appropriate for what's like a serious discussion. And I was like, man, it's just so pretty and it's so comfy and I want to wear it. You guys want to talk about your ATLTs more? What do you have to be thankful for today? Let me think. I have so many ATLTs, I don't even know what I could, like, what to land on right now. Like, I'm really happy about this. I'm really happy that I had a nice morning with Money and with the dogs. I'm really happy that this stream, I feel, went alright. I'm feeling, like, very overall positive today. You know what, Clark Strider? The affirmations idea, it always seemed so cheesy to me, but I'm starting to really see it. The more that I do research on the idea of, like, consciousness and, you know, kind of shaping your thoughts and stuff, I watched something recently that said, like, you are capable of incredible things. So that's what I've been doing for the past, like, week, is trying to tell myself that mentally. It's like my new mantra is just like, you are capable of incredible things. You are capable of incredible things. And I know that sounds really silly, but something about it actually makes me feel good. Like, I don't know, and like getting through things. It was weird because like, Money's been advocating cold showers, not for that reason, but because they're supposed to be really good for your body and stuff. And I know it's good for your hair, so usually at the end of my warm or hot showers, I do like a cold rinse for my hair. But he was talking it up so much about how he felt so great after a cold shower, and I was like, fuck it, I'll try. And the first thing that started happening is I was like, no, too cold. And then I was just like, you are capable of incredible things. You are capable of incredible things. This is not that bad. And I just, like, told myself that a couple of times, and then it was like someone had turned the water to hot again. It was just so different. Oh, Chloe, that's so cute. That's very nice. I'm glad that you have a good relationship. Oh, that's nice. That's nice, Guardian Down. Exactly, Clark, and I'm starting to see that. Yes, Rassam, I knew you were gonna remind me, you punk ass. Everyone does get 15 minutes of song requests. We'll call that for tomorrow's stream, since today won't be as long of a one. I'm trying, Rin, I'm trying. Yes, of course, Edward, I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your hand washing. We are the universe, right? Oh, good, Saint. I'm sorry that she was in the hospital again. I hope she's doing alright. You like cold showers, Echoes? I've always been more of a hot shower person. Yeah, Nasta. I'm sorry, I don't know how I'm supposed to say it. I do the Chicago A for like everything, but it's probably Nasta. You know, But that's really great. And like I like Riley Hot Sauce because he and I both are like kind of on the same campaign lately with the idea of words have meanings. Words have meaning. He does a great job of kind of keeping me like locked in. Oh god, you're here. Damn it, Riley. And making sure that I'm saying things exactly the way I want to say them. And I've always been a fan of being as verbally concise as possible. I want the right words that mean the exact right thing. I don't want to be too general. I want to say exactly what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that can be really key. And I think if we try to do that with like the way we look at things, the way we word, you know, things about ourselves, like the whole I can't, I won't, or I can't, or I'm not able to, or I won't do it, or I won't be able to, whatever. If we start looking at what we're actually saying by that and thinking through it, like, well, you actually, it's not that you can't, you just aren't doing it right now. And why aren't you doing it? What's preventing you? Like, the words have meaning, and if you dig below those, you find the actual truth behind it, you know? You gotta whittle it down, be real specific. Hi, SARS. Right, Clark? Right? Shaffy, have a great night. Oh, that makes sense too, Echoes. Thank you, Bender. Exactly, exactly. It's just, you're not trying or you're not looking outside of your circumstances enough to believe that you can do more than what you are. Cats, how are you today? Hi, Chloe. That's Upward Saturn, Chloe. Quite Twangy, I think I've like saw your name so many times and haven't like said hi to you with my mouth words. Really, Riley, really too much sometimes. Yes. Ugh. Ugh. I'm trying to see if you told me how to say your name right. Nasta. Yes, Clark, and I'm starting to really, like, do my best to feel that. To really see how crazy the world, the universe, us, our bodies, our minds, our consciousness is. Like, that's my latest, like, hobby or passion, is trying to learn as much as I can about the things that I really don't understand. And that's part of the reason we've talked about this a bunch, that I really, really want to start doing some like deliberate experimentation with psychedelics and stuff, because I really, really want. I've heard so many great things from people who believe in that kind of like spirituality, and that, you know, that idea that it's not actually just bullshit. It's not just some like hippie thing, but we actually are all fully connected to each other, to the universe, to this earth, to the fucking, like I said, to the universe, like to the stars, literally. So it's crazy to think about stuff like that, and I'm starting to find more joy in like looking at that, because I'm seeing how much I don't know. And that's also what I like about the ocean. Thank you, Spiral. I'm glad you're liking it. We are, right, Clark? We are. And I don't know, like, there's just so much out there that I don't know anything about, and it's so cool. Wow, Spiral, Well, you're very welcome here. I'm very sorry for everything that you've had to go through, and just know we're here for you. Twangy, I mean, sometimes your mind is really rude to you, right? What usually brings you joy? I get maybe social isn't the thing for you today. Maybe today you need some time trying to shape your thoughts into something positive. Maybe you need a break for mindfulness. You need a walk in the park, even if it's cold. Put hats and gloves on, go outside, take a little walk. Maybe you need to draw or color. Honestly, coloring books are so much more soothing than you realize, and they have adult ones, and I don't mean adult like, you know, dirty ones, but I mean like ones that aren't like all Disney stuff. Not that Disney's not awesome, because it is, but you know what I'm saying. A piece of poetry? If it's not too long, put it in here. If it's a little longer, throw it in Discord, but absolutely. I think so too, Clark. I think so too. That interconnectedness, I mean, it translates into religion, for a lot of them at least, right? So I kind of, yeah. Nasta, that's actually my plan. Money and I were talking about that. There's a yoga schedule that as soon as he can get some of his stuff situated and we can have like our financial situation a little bit less scary, because he just moved out here, you know, and still has to find a job and everything. We're gonna start going to this gym, and they have a nice yoga schedule, and I'm really excited to do that. Right, exactly, Annihilator. DC, it's tough, man, but I think part of that, if you're having trouble opening up, in my experience, a lot of that comes from the idea that you shouldn't because it's shameful, or the idea that you shouldn't because whatever it is that you're dealing with is so unique or so wrong or is proof of you being a bad person or whatever that you don't want to share it. You're afraid of what comes next. So I want to tell you, like, no matter what it is that you are going through, no matter what it is that you're feeling bad or shameful or whatever about, you don't deserve any of it. You should not feel shamed. You're a good person, and we're here for you. If you want to talk, we'd love to talk to you. If you want to talk in the vaguest terms possible, then do that. But talk to someone. It really will help. And that's the plan, Spiral Sun. I've been doing a lot of research on it, and I have lots of goals of doing that, and I would love to try ayahuasca. I did watch some cool documentaries on that. A little sad, Guardian. Here I am going through an existential crisis and you're talking about psychedelics. It's all connected, Upward Saturn, it's all connected. It's not like, you know, it's not me saying I think you should all do this, because I haven't done it yet. I can't offer any kind of feedback on it. It's just been me doing some research, seeing that where I'm at in my life, what I'm trying to do with my own idea of my consciousness is I want to try to experience more. I want to try to see more in the world. Yeah, Cats, and you are fucking rockin' lately. Yeah, Ultra Lord, I like that. I like that. And that's more once you get better at meditating, right? And you can actually easily focus on one kind of concept or thought versus having to kind of force yourself to do just like the deep breathing kind of thing. Good, truth will set you free. Well, hopefully, if nothing else, being a part of this community makes you more open to joining communities in the future. I get it, DC. I get it. Worrying about being alone is such a serious fear. I understand that because I know what loneliness does to you. It really hurts. It really fucking hurts. But what you have to start doing, I think, DC. Oh, Wolfie, thank you for the I almost said biddies, for the $5. We'll listen to this and then we'll talk about that, DC.
I realized that we haven't had a Lollyloo in a while. So, Lollyloo. Lollyloo, Lollyloo. I believe in positivity and you gotta deal with IT. You gotta believe. Lolly Lou. Hi, I'm a dork. Less than 3 Lolly Lou.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the 5 and the Lolly Loos. Okay, so the whole you feel ugly because you get rejected and it adds to you feeling like you're gonna be alone forever. You're not. I really believe that there are so many different ways your life can go that will lead you to some kind of fulfillment and happiness, whatever it is. But part of that, I think, goes into you branching out and experiencing things and finding things based on your passions, based instead of on your circumstances, right? So maybe you're being rejected, like, and I think that this is a good thing, because anyone who rejects you wouldn't, obviously, have appreciated you the way that you deserve to be, DC. So maybe the issue is not that there's something wrong with you, but that you're in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. Maybe you're gonna find someone special for you when you are at the gym, or when you get into an art community, or when you start doing cycling, or who knows, you know what I mean? There's so many different little hobbies, and there's so many different communities, and now because of the internet, there's so many ways to connect all of those. I feel like there's no excuse for limiting yourself and your interactions to just what's in front of you based on, like, your circumstances, you know, based on your work, school, whatever. No, you put the work in, Cats. You put the work in, and I know that because of all of our talks. Tactical breathing? Yeah, is that just the, like, deep breathing, essentially? Yikes, Echoes. I intend to be incredibly careful. I'm really sorry about that. That's sad. And it's not something where I plan on doing it, like, over and over and over again. I want some, like, guided encounters, essentially. Good, Rai Morris. Good. I'm really happy to hear that your meds are helping. I know that can be a really bad, a really challenging, seemingly upward battle at times when you make the decision to try and seek out medication for help. It's not always a perfect fit at first, but that all goes back to that whole communication thing. Make sure that you have a medical or your mental health professional is listening to you, and you feel that you're being heard when you say, I don't like or do like whatever medication you're trying. Yes, Spiral Sun, and I'm, like, right there with you now. Interesting, Savage. Well, I mean, Chloe, I don't want to be the one to point this out to you, but you just opened up to us. So I get that it might be challenging for you, but you've done it. You can do it again. You've opened up to us. You've told us that you felt shut down in the past and that you struggle with it because of that. That's one small step towards talking to people. And your boyfriend, if he's, you know, the right kind of boyfriend for you, is gonna be supportive when you say, I need to talk, let's talk. Wow, Cha-Cha. Your apartment building caught on fire? What happened? Exactly, Chloe, exactly. Riley. Yes, I agree, Cats, I agree. Rejection is often a blessing, a protection from the wrong fit. Amen. What up, NY Diesel? I get it, Twangy, I get it. But it doesn't mean give up, right? Or just say, like, today's a wash. Maybe try to think about it, like, what can I do tomorrow? Maybe your optimism will come from the idea that tomorrow will be better. I believe tomorrow will be better for you, Twangy. Do you want a gong hit of positivity? I'll send some radiating vibes out your way, man. Oh, okay, DMF. I don't know why I called you DMF instead of Saint. Okay, so you do martial arts, but you haven't been feeling too great about it there. Maybe you need a different gym, man. 'Cause like, especially a martial arts community, they're generally very inclusive and welcoming, and they a lot of times they have a lot of faith in that mind-body connection and everything. So if you're not feeling supported there, you might need to find a new spot. Okay. Okay, I'd never heard of that, Saint. Thank you, Ghost Dog. Hi, Myopic. Breathing and hydration are super key, yes.
I'm very sad to hear that you lost your class.
Interesting, Saint. Hi, Toxic.
But you managed to get out alive. That's right. I have been told of their heroic deeds. It's sad.
Okay, Chloe. So I wonder, do you think that writing might help you? If you're having trouble because you can't say things because you shut down, what if you tried writing them down? What if you wrote a letter and said, this is what I'm feeling today. I don't know how to say it, but this is, you know, even if it's rambly, here's what I'm struggling with right now. Here's what I want to work on. You know, maybe write it down and give that to him. Good, Trin, good. Hi, Automatic. It's so nice, Phoenix. I so recommend it. So recommend it. Oh, okay, Twangy. That can definitely mess with you. Well, here, I'm gonna send this right now. This is the gong hit of positivity for everyone. Feel the vibes. There it goes. Oh, okay, okay. I mean, the fact that you've identified the things that you are liking and the things that you think you need to work on, maybe you need to start working on that organization aspect of it and figure out what you can do to work on the thing that's bothering you the most. Is it still water? I mean, yeah, if you have to use those little additions or additives or whatever, just make sure you're drinking plenty of water. If all you're drinking is those throughout the day, I don't know if that's necessarily good for you, because I think a lot of those can have some weird stuff in them, but, you know, read the labels. I know, but I always call you Saint. That's why I was like, why did I... Who did I... What? That's true, Ivana. I've definitely done that before. End of all that is good. Thank you for the follow. No one at your work drinks water, dude? Oh my gosh. Terrible. Yeah, no one at my old office did, really. I got it from one of my friends from stream, Flownominal15. And just a reminder, there is a Chicago meetup coming up. If you're within driving distance, or if you feel like getting out and you want to fly out here, come hang out with us. 2 nights in the city. It's gonna be probably cold, but who knows? Chicago weather is so unpredictable. Like, it is 46 degrees today. So it might be nice, it might be cold, but we're gonna hang out downtown Chicago 2 nights, February 9th and February 10th. Ugh, yuck, Clark. Ooh, I don't like Mountain Dew, really. I'm sorry. I used to, a little bit. But windy? Well, it'll be windy in Chicago. You know how that goes. Yeah, lemon in water is really good, and cucumber water is surprisingly delicious as well. I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you for a really nice, nice discussion today. It was great. I think I might rewatch this so that I can see some of more of what happened in chat. But I will, like I said, I'm definitely going to send out the information for the Google Doc so we can all go on there and, you know, try and keep up, I guess. See if we can keep some exercise going. Exercise. I don't know why I said that so weird. So we'll see what we can do to keep ourselves accountable and try and make some positive steps in our lives. And I will do my best to schedule a mental health awareness stream again. Do you guys want another one to check up on our progress in 2 weeks? Or should we do this in a month? Crowley, there's a meetup. Check the link, dude. Good, Anwai, I'm glad you like it. You're gonna be exploring during the day, Friday and Saturday? Well, Saturday you're exploring with us, Ultra Lord. Cause, well, exploring. We'll probably just wander, kind of like bar crawl, but maybe not get drunk, because I don't like getting drunk. We'll just wander and find some nice spots to chill. But recommendations, it depends on what you're into, man. Honestly, there's so much. There's just so much. Just look up your hobby plus Chicago and see what there is. 2 weeks. Well, see what you can do to bring that back, Trin. What steps can you take to improve that relationship and make it happen a little bit more? You have a mental heal story for next time? Of course, Zombie, of course. We'd love to hear it. Yeah, I think we're starting at a barcade, but there's plenty of barcades all over. Beercades? Barcades. I miss skateboarding, and I really need to work on my knees again. I really do. You guys want to throw some, like, heckin' positivity at some people? Because I would like to. Oh, man. Well, that's also, Riley, oh my god. So, you love walking through the city, I also enjoy that, but, the looking people in the eyes thing, you are gonna love Chicago for that, dude. It's so nice. Everyone greets everybody, for the most part. Like, you know, people suck sometimes. But, I think you'll be, like, really pleasantly surprised by, like, how many people just say good morning, hey, nice dog, nice shirt, nice shoes, whatever, you know, as you're walking around. It's pretty cool. Let's see.
Funny how we met on the telephone.
Go.
You and I on the edge of the unknown.
Alright. Hold, please. Holding.
And only
Well, good, Simota. Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I feel the same way. Like, sometimes it's really challenging for me to get into the mindset for this, you know what I mean? Because it is kind of a daunting thing to discuss, to see that we are all struggling in the way that we are, but I feel that I get a lot out of it as well, so I'm glad. Yes, Riley, it's very nice. Everyone will say hi, it's great. Oh, who done it? Who bought this shirt? Was that you, Wolfie? I Chicago'd all over Seattle from that rock. I did. I was like, this is the Chicago rock. I'm king of Seattle now. Everyone say hi. 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 I said hi to so many strangers in Seattle. They didn't like me. But I say hi to so many strangers in Chicago, and they offer to smoke joints with me. Wolfie did it! Thank you. Wolfie, you're the best. Where am I? Okay, here we go. We shall. Ooh, perf. Perf. Where did it just what the what? You bought 2 shirts? What other shirt did you get? Thank you. Levercolt, you're so smart. Oh, thanks, Trin. Thanks for that info. Levercolt, stop it. You are. I put a ton of makeup on, but I love it. Okay. What did your Snap video say to me? Okay, it was about that one person who was tweeting all the dumb stuff at first, and then the very last part of it was you, like, playing with your hair. I think you were going like this at the moment, like, just, like, pulling it up, and talking about the shales, and how you would probably go head to feet. So yeah, there was that. Pizza party and 2-year? Oh, thank you, Wolfie. Thank you. Alright, guys, I really appreciate you. I really love you, dudes. I'm gonna shut down for now because I am gonna break my fast. We are gonna have some dinner together and then get all set up for the movie night tonight, which is at 7. Although we might... How many of you guys are gonna be coming to that? Would it be too much if we pushed it back by an 8? By an hour? Oh, you bought a sticker, it looks like. Thank you, Pack. Good, Simota. I'm glad that you're trying to do what's best for you and your kids like that. I know that's gotta be tough. But yeah, I want Dopa to be able to be a part of this because he's one of the people who suggested Super Troopers and has been harassing me about movie night soon. So can we do 8 o'clock Central tonight? Does that work for you, dudes? Do it by an 8. Okay. 8 Central. It's gonna be... Okay, so here's what happens for the movie night, guys. So 8 o'clock, so like 7:45 then, get into Discord. And just be in the general chat, watch the announcements, whatever. You'll see which voice channel we all go into. But basically, we'll provide a link for everyone to click on. We might have to do 2. We might need a second person to host it. And then we just start the movie, and if we have to do 2, we'll coordinate that one way or another. But we basically make it so we're all watching the same movie at the same time through one app. Almost like a go-to meeting, but for movies. It's called Rabbit. So we'll give you the link, and then everyone goes into voice chat. And, like, you know, please be respectful, mute yourselves when appropriate, and all of that. But we just hang out and talk to each other kind of low-key during the movie. We laugh at stuff together, we pull some tubes, we joke around about it. That's kind of why we pick movies that a lot of people have seen already, and that are, like, silly fun, so that we can all, like, laugh along with it, you know what I mean? So, 8 o'clock then, Central. We'll do the movie night tonight. We're pushing it back a tiny bit so we can make sure that Dopa gets to participate. And, yeah. I appreciate you guys again so much. Let's go bring this positivity on to another very nice broadcaster. And, there better be captions, sure. And have a great rest of your day if I don't get to see you for movie night tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for everything. You're all wonderful. And, yeah. I hope this helped. I hope you know how awesome you are. All of you. Alright. Bye.